So interesting when I think about this ministry. First, how rare it is for a church to have a pastor, let alone a ministry that focuses on a specific industry. I mean, that in itself is very rare. There's very few churches in America that have a pastor, have a ministry focused on a particular industry. You know, there's ministry to families, there's ministry to singles, there's ministry to those in need, for example, caring ministries, there's world missions, but it's rare for there to be a ministry or even a pastor who focuses entirely on an industry. And here we are in Los Angeles, and we have a ministry that doesn't focus on the automotive industry. It's not the hospitality or the service industry. It's not the restaurant industry. It's not the baking industry. It's the entertainment industry. And so woven into the DNA of this church is the tremendous influence that Hollywood and all facets of it have not only on this nation, but on this world. And when you think about the level of influence that is in this room, it's staggering. And I imagine some of you, you're like, oh yeah, tell me about it. Tell me about it. I've got some influence. And maybe you got to rein down how you see yourself. Maybe you think you've got way too much influence than you really do. But some of you, perhaps, you might need to hear tonight that you have tremendous influence. Whether you're in sound design or you're a second unit director, whether you're a producer or you're a playwright, whether you're up front, in front of the screen, in front of the camera, you're behind the camera, no matter what you do, if you're trying to break in, if you've been a long time here and you just don't want one more person to come up to you and ask to be in your film, there's such a huge spectrum of people who are here tonight. But the truth is you have tremendous influence. Every interaction, every day, every casting call, every script write, every decision you have to make, you have such tremendous influence. And as I've thought about that, as I've prepared for this moment, I've thought about some words that my doctoral advisor gave me about 4 years ago. And this guy, his name's Leonard Sweet, and actually Time Magazine rated him as like one of the top 100 most influential Christians. I don't know what you do to have to be on that sort of list, but this guy was on this list. And he actually said to us in a time where my class was with him at his house on this island off the coast of Washington State. I mean, this dude was like an enigma. He was like a mystery. Huge, 6'6", long white hair, long white beard. It was like Gandalf. It was phenomenal. Deep voice, And he told us while we were in his house, we were sitting in his family room, and he leans back over his left shoulder and he says, "See that door right there?" I mean, it was deep, deep voice. "Through that door is where I do my writing." And I'm trying to listen to the deep baritone of what he's trying to tell me. And he says, through that door is where he does his writing, where he's written over 50 books, where he has written over 10,000 sermons as an editor of sermons.com. He says, through that door is where I go to do my work. And it is from that place that I create things that have influence. And he's written all these books and written all these sermons, and he speaks around the world. He's on the faculty of 2 seminaries, one in New Jersey and one in Oregon. He lives a bi-coastal lifestyle. This guy, he sleeps 3 hours a day. And he says, that's too much. I don't need that much. And he's just tremendous in his level of influence. And I want you to imagine this with me. I want you to sit with me in that family room, in this eclectic house, on an island off the coast of Washington, this Gandalf-looking figure leaning over his left shoulder, looking at that doorway. And he says, through that doorway is where I do my writing, do my work for my greatest influence. And he says, class, look at that door. It's not a normal door. It's a door that was taken from a ship. And you'll notice that it's actually a door that's shorter than most doors. And he says, and you look at me and I'm 6'6". Every time I go to that door, every time I open that door, every time I step through that doorway to do my greatest work, to have my greatest level of influence, I have to bow down. Because that door is shorter than me. And he says, but look at that door. It's different than like most doors. It doesn't sit on the ground level. It actually is up a little bit higher off the ground. There's a threshold that is about a foot high. And so every time I go through that door that you see right behind me, every time I go through that to do my greatest work, to do all my writing, where I have the greatest level of influence, when I go through that door, I have to step up and over that threshold. And he says, I have to do both the things at the same time. I have to step up and I have to bow down. I have to step up and I have to bow down to get through that door, to do my work, to have my level of influence. He says, if I don't step up, if I don't rise to the challenge, if I don't bring the best of me to the table, if I don't bring my education and my experience and my skills and all that I am, all my passion, if I don't step up, I'm just going to trip and fall. Zah. But if I don't bow down, if I don't enter that room with a place of humility, a posture of humility, I'm going to crack my head against the top of that door and fall backwards. He says, pride comes before the fall. And he says, so too must you. As you step into your places of influence, as you step into your moments of work, would you step up and bow down at the same time? Or as the Apostle Paul says in Philippians 4:13, I can do all things. Talk about confidence. Talk about stepping up. But it's through Christ who strengthens me. It's not my own strength. It's not my own power. It's not my own gifts. It's not my own experience. It's not my charisma. It's not my personality. This is all a gift from God. It's His power in and through me. So my prayer for you, Beacon, on the launch, on the cusp of this new season, within a ministry that is so rare, not only in the U.S., but also in Los Angeles, a ministry with a pastor who's the real deal, by the way, Pastor Kim Dortilli, who loves you, who cares for you, who has spent countless hours and years praying for you, longing for this community, for you to know one another, to be known, to be resourced, to be encouraged, to be inspired. My prayer for you, no matter where you go, no matter what job you have, no matter what set, no matter what opportunity you have, that you would at the same time step up and bow down. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. You have tremendous influence. What's going to happen this year? What's going to happen this month? God knows. How fun for us to have front row seats. There's no greater front row seats. LA Coliseum, yeah, those are great. The Olympics, yeah, that's great. Final Four, yeah, that's great. Super Bowl, yeah, that's great. But the front row seats to God at work in people's lives, man, you can't buy tickets for that. And you can sit there. You've been invited to the front row seats of what God is doing through this ministry, through your lives. Even as you leave this room, beyond the walls, to your workplaces, my friends, step up and bow down at the same time.